So I feel I'm supposed to go into more detail about what has happened to me, my work as a traditional midwife and healer, and um, and essentially, what has happened is that there has been a reversal of dominion. Okay, meaning um, popular white, particularly female gurus, have pillaged and plundered my work. So they have taken my words, my ideas, and put those words and ideas in a framework that is marketable in their eyes, that can put forth the pretense of wisdom. It's like having the best of both worlds, right? I can take something that is actually insightful and I can turn it into something marketable, and I can pretend to have that wisdom and, plus um, benefit from that deception financially, reputation wise, whatever. I liken my experience to Edmond Dantes of The Count of Monte Cristo. Unlike him, I never lost my faith, but very much like him, it took me quite a long time to fucking figure out what the hell happened. What I discovered a handful of years ago was that instead of my viewership, which just grew and grew, instead of that, that population underneath manifesting as more on the surface, it actually, by the time it seemed like it reached the surface, more and more the landscape became like a cold and dark desert for me. Whereas I saw that my viewership was growing in the early days of my work, and up until a handful of years ago, there was more activity on the surface, but the feedback, excuse me, I am getting over something here. This is very difficult to talk about. The mess that has been made through these white women's deception in using and pillaging my words and my work is unfathomable. It's hard to look at directly, even though I try to all the time, but it's such a mess. But I realized on the surface, more and more, the landscape became like a dark, cold desert landscape. Whereas, up until a few years ago, I did have some more surface, surface level activity, and give and take, and seemed like things could go somewhere. But what I didn't really know what was happening was this theft. And it took me until pretty recently to realize that WebMD, major pregnancy websites, authors such as Yolanda Norris Clark and Lucy H. Pierce, and they just shamelessly pillaged my words and work. I mean, I look at one of them is much more obvious. You know, I could make an actual comparison um, with a literal work that I published, but the other one is like it's like, you know, it's like a pile of poppy seeds and dirt, you know. And she managed to disguise her lack of knowledge and insight and wisdom by pillaging my work and my words, you know, stringing together, lacing together ideas that could create some kind of costume that she could wear, regalia that she could wear and sell off as her own. Anyway, so I think it's going to take me probably a couple of decades to really fathom what the fuck happened. Where I was being, and my work was being pillaged from underneath. And what ended up happening is that I looked then, because my words had been stolen and fabrications made, that became the outer reality. And so I looked like the liar. I looked like the copycat. And I think in some ways I still do to the outer realm, you know. Another thing is that I was being interviewed to go on the Dr. Phil show years ago to talk about my work, and the woman that they ended up choosing for the episode, first of all, is a horrendously toxic woman. She ended up actually, I actually ended up helping to expose her for pretending to be a medical professional. And anyway, she ended up going on the Dr. Phil show. She kind of, you know, got some semi-fame. But then she ended up using her entire YouTube presence to tear me down. And it's like, okay, so that's a coincidence too? You know, there's been a very intentional pillaging of my work, suffocating of my presence. But as I said, it's like the poppy seeds in the dirt. You know, you have to separate the poppy seed from the dirt. I've also said you have to separate, you know, it's like separating the tangled poison ivy with the wild rose bush, you know. You try to go in any form that is more literal or direct or physical, you're going to get either poison ivy and or scratched up. Or you're just going to fucking lose your mind trying to separate the poppy seed from the dirt. Anyway, I'm okay. Like, it didn't affect my life to the point where I can't move forward with God or my faith. I can't see God's plan for opening the way for it. That's not the issue. It certainly is devastating. It certainly is extremely sad and tragic. But because of the deceit and the theft, well, let's just say that the initial road caved in. All the opportunities to work with women in North America and really revitalize and heal the realm of women's health, which is hemorrhaging. It's literally hemorrhaging. Is gone, you know. Everything's caved in. There's no going back. There's only forward, you know. More than the personal wound, which is extensive. the societal wound. And what this has done to further damage the state of women in North America and the Western sphere is unfathomable. There's nothing more that you can expect from deceit. If you don't have that wisdom, then you don't have it. There are other like famous doctors and stuff that use this word wisdom all the time. And I look at their work and I'm like, okay, wisdom to what extent? It's like you just plaster this word wisdom on everything. The point is that the way forward with Western women at this point is extremely damaged. I have the wealth of insight. I have the wisdom. I have the on the ground experience, having been in the trenches with all manner of demographics. I have it. To the point where I can protect traditional midwifery, which is historically and to this day severely, it comes under severe medical and legal attacks. I mean, it's the severity of these attacks have just annihilated traditional midwifery and womanhood from the Western landscape. The way is only forward, but there's no way back. That initial path is all caved in. All I can say for now about that is that I have discovered that modern Western women and those modern women who aren't Western, socialized therein, have bought into something very poisonous. One name for it is materialism. Another name for it is consumerism. Another name for it is greed.